after the first act. It would coincide with the Polish Day around the world and would be a chance to celebrate the recent renovations to the Society's Polish Village Hall in Whitney Pier. And please note that the inclusion of Polish text alongside the English, an act of incorporation as amended, is provided a schedule in Polish. Some of the Polish names in the first section of the schedule, names that have been anglicized in 1912, are shown correctly in the brackets. This is the first time in Nova Scotia, possibly in any province, that the bill has featured Polish text. So, Madam Chair, as I speak on this Bill 129, there's some other issues that I'd like to speak about two Polish bakeries in Whitney Pier, the Purity Bakery and Bernie's Bakery. So it was the best rye bread, as the honourable member for Victoria Lake knows. The Purity Bakery had the best rye bread. But also on Sunday, you would go to Bernie's Bakery for your pizza and cinnamon rolls. So what kind of neighborhood would have two Polish bakeries in it competing with two families? The Kasebda family, and Bob, that's KRSZWDA, and the Kokoska family. And they were both cousins, I guess, way back from the old country, but both had beautiful bakeries that are no longer there. The families worked and lived and delivered their products, and it was a good Polish product. And in those days, there was such a thing as a barter system. And I remember as a kid, no money changed hands in the community when they went and brought bread to Horo's to get kielbasa and garlic bologna and other stuff. You know, so we still have kielbasa today. It's actually made in the honourable member for Cape Breton Centre's riding, and today that tradition still goes on, and it's moved all over Nova Scotia now. But that Polish community, you know, my best friend was Joki Kasebda, who owned Purity Bakery at that time, and Joki had passed away probably about 13 years ago now, as a very young man. And but I mean, also in that neighborhood growing up, and I hate to, I guess I say the neighborhood had a slang to it, and anybody would read the Pier Times would know what they called the neighborhood in Whitney Pier, where most of the Poles and Ukrainians grew up, and I will not say that word today sitting here, and because it's, to me, I can say it, I grew up there. But I mean, you had all of those families, and I'll go on and give Bob a heart attack in Hansard if I start going on about the Shivaks, the Ketch families. I start going on about the Kokoskas, the Kasebdas, you know, the Kakachis, all of those families that were there, the Shella family, all of those families that were there of Polish descent are still there today. Last year in that neighborhood that I grew up in, we lost 8 ladies, 8 widows on that street. They were aged 90 to 98 years of age. Loretta Cosra passed away at age 98. So you wondered how this tough breed of ladies were. Mrs. Kokoska was 91, Mrs. Shalak, Mrs. Frances Barlock, they all passed away. But their descendants, the Ketch family, there was 4 sisters, and they all married Teddy Baker, Mr. DeTurbit, Mr. Ratushny, and Mr. Baker, Barlock, Ratushny. But all of those families, their descendants today, oh no, you know, all of those families are still there, and their descendants are still there. But now they have a new executive, you know, and those people, I listened to many stories as I sliced bread as a young lad with Teddy Baker, who was married to one of the Ketch girls, and Mrs. Baker, and they've been there for a long time. Teddy was the fire chief. But then I think of Walter Clark in the neighborhood. His wife is of Polish descent, Marion. They're all good people. And to this day, this is so important for the community of Whitney Pier. Again, it's the 100th anniversary on May the 3rd of the Society receiving their charter in 1912. And probably in the spring, I'll be back here in the seat again, because it's the 100th anniversary of the Ukrainians of Whitney Pier in August of this year coming in. And right now, there's celebrations being planned in August for the 100th anniversary of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church in Whitney Pier. So, you know, it was such a good place, as the honourable member for Cape Breton South would know. I remember he once told me when I was first elected in the legislature, he told me, you know, when I ran for mayor of Sydney, if I had the vote of Whitney Pier, I was always the mayor of Sydney. And the people of Whitney Pier supported the honourable member for Cape Breton South for many years. 15 years in total, I think the honourable member was mayor of that municipality. So when I speak about this today, he knows. It seems like yesterday the honourable member is saying that he's been around public life for over 33 years. But again, I think of, like, I see Aunt Ella, I say, coming on Friday to play cards over at Cataracts with, that would be Michael Chesky's wife, Aunt Ella, and they go over to play cards on Friday night, so I still see those people each and every day. I'm still talking about the bill in Polish, but I do think of the, an act to amend Chapter 236 of the Acts of 1912. I just think this is a good bill. I think that this bill will have significant to be proclaimed on May the 3rd of 1912 in Whitney Pier. And as I finish up here this evening, I'd like to invite all the members of the House of Assembly to come down to Whitney Pier on May the 3rd and celebrate with us. I don't know if we'll be in the House, but I'm just sending an invitation out to come down to Whitney Pier and celebrate the long history of culture of one of the most multicultural communities in Atlantic Canada. And if you people want to look in the library today, you'll see a picture, you know. Oh, I did it again, I know.
Did it again.
Yeah, I know. God, it's been a while since I've been on the floor, so I guess I've lost my touch.
I saw you on the floor a couple of times.
Yeah. But again, I'd like to say thank you to Madam Chair for bringing some civility and decorum to the Committee of the Whole House and following the new Westminster rules like you do each and every day. I thank you very much. But again, it's very important, and I know most of the families in that community because I grew up with their children. It's the third generation of Polish people and the fourth generation, and there's a long history of those Polish people in the community of Whitney Pier, and their rich culture that they brought to the community will continue on for generations and generations with the passage of this bill on May the 3rd of 2012. Thank you.
The honourable member for Cape Breton South.
Thank you very much. I might say, Madam Chair, at the outset, this is the longest it's taken a private member's bill to get through this House, but I do appreciate the comments of my good friend from Cape Breton Nova, who took us down memory lane regarding the Polish community in that area of Sydney, and he's absolutely right. When I was many years I was mayor in Sydney, I had the good fortune, I guess, of getting big majorities from what we used to call wards 5 and 6, and my next best was Ward 4, which was Ashby, and Gordy has some of the, the member from Cape Breton Nova. The member from Cape Breton Nova has some of Ashby area now in his constituency, and some of the Polish people that he refers to have moved into my riding in later years and still maintain their interest with the Polish society and the Polish village. And I can remember as mayor down there going through too many events at the Polish village, whether they be in the church or whether they be in the hall, regarding some of the celebrations they had down there. But I just want to say, and I'm certainly not going to trespass too long on the time of the House, because I know you probably have other things to do. But I too, Madam Chair, could go on about the association I've had with the member from Cape Breton Nova. And the times that we shared with Little League Baseball and all those kinds of things. Well, you know, that's I don't know. He probably was. I'm not going there, but he was a good goaltender, put it that way. But Madam Chair, I can remember coaching the Police Athletic Club Dodgers in Little League, and Gordy was playing then, of course, and he was playing the Dodgers. The member from Cape Breton Nova was playing, I believe, for the Seals or the Seals, the Athletics, right? You know, Fons Jessom had a team down there and a few other people, and yeah. But anyway, when I had the Senators, and we never won a game. So I changed the name to the Dodgers, and we won 17 out of 21 games that year. You remember that, member from Cape Breton Nova? Yeah. But anyway, I got to know Rudy Peronowski was a coach with me at the time, and he had, of course, deep roots in Whitney Pier area. And just to wind up this, I could go on till 5 o'clock, but talking about the experiences I had in wards 5 and 6 of the old city of Sydney, but I won't do that. I won't. Maybe another time. But I will say this though, that that member from Cape Breton Nova is very dedicated to his community, and him and I have talked about people that we both knew over the years, and I congratulate the member from Cape Breton Nova for bringing this bill here, but not only bringing the bill here, because sometimes we treat that as very lightly. We just say yay or nay and get on with business, but he was very passionate about that and give him the opportunity to talk about his community. And the community that I liked very much when I was growing up, because I had a lot to do with either fighting with people from Whitney Pier when I was growing up or coaching them when I was an adult. But anyway, and then it was a privilege for me to represent all of the city of Sydney when I was mayor and the member from Cape Breton Nova is absolutely right. It was for 5 terms, and the people of Wards 5 and 6 were very generous to me in allowing me to continue at City Hall. So in conclusion, Madam Chair, I just want to thank you, Gordy, for a job well done.
Recognize the honourable member for Cape Breton West.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just wanted to stand in my place today. I just wanted to congratulate the member for Cape Breton Nova on what he was able to accomplish here today. I had the privilege of being in law amendments the other day when the presentation was made by the 2 individuals that was noted by the member from Cape Breton Nova. And the passion that it was expressed by both those individuals. So I would think it's only appropriate that we take this time and congratulate them on being so passionate about their heritage. And I want to congratulate all the members of the society in Whitney Pier and the Polish community on doing so much to keep their culture alive and well. And I want to congratulate the member from Cape Breton Nova for making sure that it got the type of attention that normally we don't see for a private member's bill. But I think it just speaks to the community. And in today's Cape Breton Post, there's a picture of the member from Cape Breton Nova on the front page where he and the Lieutenant Governor, they were showing a monument that was done in Whitney Pier, and there were 27 flags of different nations that were displayed there, just to tell you the kind of a melting pot that community was and the impact that Whitney Pier has had on all of our island. And when the member from Nova was going on and talking about all the different people and the different relationships and everything, I don't know a lot of those people, but I can relate to the 2 bakeries. The bakeries are there. When I was a kid, when I was 6 and 7 years old, on a Sunday, a trip to Whitney Pier to go to Bernie's Bakery was almost a must, because they had some of the best pizza in the world with no cheese on it. It was fantastic. So really, in closing, Madam Chair, I just want to say congratulations not only to the member from Cape Breton Nova, but to all the Polish community in the Whitney Pier area and Polish communities right across our country.
Question has been called. Shall clause number 1 carry? Carry. Shall the remaining clauses carry? Carry. Shall the title carry? Carry. Shall the bill carry? Carry. Motion's carried. Recognize the Honourable Government House Leader.
Madam Chair, we should now rise and report progress.
Carried. The Chair of the Committee of the Whole House on Supply reports
that the Committee of the Whole has met and considered the following bills: Bill 129 without amendments, and Bill 133, which was reported with certain amendments by the Committee on Law Amendments to the Committee of the Whole without further amendments. And the Chairman has been instructed to recommend these bills to the favourable consideration of the House.
Carried. Recognize the Honourable Government House Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, that concludes the portion of business today by the government. And the hours tomorrow will be from noon to 9 p.m. when we will be dealing with bills 129, 133, 136. And in the air of cooperation that we had today, Madam Speaker, especially as it relates to St. Mary's Polish bill, to all the members, Dziękuję. Have a good evening, and we'll meet you tomorrow at 9 or 8 or noon, please, Madam Speaker.
The motion is that we do now rise to meet again tomorrow, December the 15th, between the hours of noon and 9 p.m. House ready for the question? All in favor? Those opposed? The motion is carried.